There's a specific moment in the evening. It varies by person, but it usually lands somewhere between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. when something shifts. The day isn't over. Nothing has gone wrong yet. But something in the body already knows the night is coming. And it starts bracing. Not dramatically. Not a panic attack. Just a quiet, low-level tightening. A weight that settles somewhere in the chest and doesn't leave. The rest of the evening happens around it. Dinner. A show. A conversation. But underneath all of it, the calculation has already begun. If that's familiar, if the dread arrives hours before you ever touch a pillow, this video is going to explain exactly why that happens. Not in a clinical way that leaves you more informed but no different. In a way that might actually change what the bedroom means to you. Because the dread isn't random. It has a mechanism. And mechanisms, once understood, can be interrupted. Let's start by talking about what the bedroom has actually become. The bedroom is not just a room. For most people dealing with anxiety-driven insomnia, the bedroom has become something else. A place the nervous system has learned to associate with a very specific feeling. Not rest. Threat. This is not a metaphor. This is a neurological process with a name. Conditioned fear response. And understanding it, really understanding it, is the only thing that makes the dread make sense. Here's the version that doesn't require a textbook. Your nervous system is, among other things, a pattern recognition machine. Its job is to notice when two things tend to happen together, and then use the first one to predict the second. This is useful when the pattern is wrestling in the grass tends to mean predator. It becomes a problem when the pattern is lying down in this room tends to mean lying awake, heart racing, mind running. That second pattern. Your nervous system learned it the same way it learns everything else, through repetition. Every night you lay in that bed while your system was activated. Every night the room held the experience of threat. Your nervous system was taking notes. Not consciously, not with your permission, but accurately. And at some point, and this is the part that explains the evening dread, the bedroom stopped needing the bad night to arrive before it triggered the response. The room itself became the trigger. The pillow, the particular darkness, the sound the house makes when everyone else is asleep. These things, on their own, now carry the signal. Brace yourself. That is not weakness. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do. It learned a lesson from your experience. The problem isn't the learning. The problem is what it learned and where. Your nervous system learned this. Which means this isn't about who you are. It's about what a very capable system absorbed from a very difficult stretch of nights. Now let's talk about why that dread shows up hours before you're anywhere near the bed. If the bedroom is the trigger, why is the nervous system already activated at 6 p.m. when the bedroom is hours away? This is the part that tends to bring the most relief when it's explained properly. Your nervous system doesn't only respond to threats that are present, it predicts them. That capacity, running threat detection in advance, is one of the things that makes it so effective. If there's a pattern suggesting that something difficult is coming, the system starts preparing early. It begins allocating resources, elevating vigilance, tightening the body. So here's what that means for your evenings. The bedroom is hours away, but the nervous system has learned, through many repetitions, that at the end of this particular day, in this particular life, the bedroom arrives. And when it does, something difficult tends to happen there. So it starts preparing, at 7 p.m., sometimes at 6. Not because something is wrong with the evening, because the system is doing its job, anticipating a known threat, warming up the alert state, making sure you won't be caught unprepared. The dread is your nervous system being protective. The tragedy is that the thing it's protecting you from is a room in your own home. And here's the part that most people find genuinely surprising. The earlier the dread arrives, the more entrenched the conditioning, not the more broken. The more entrenched. An earlier signal means the nervous system has been running this pattern long enough that it now activates with plenty of lead time. That's not a sign of a weaker nervous system. That's a sign of an extremely efficient one that has absorbed a great deal of experience. The timing of your dread is not evidence of how fragile you are. It's evidence of how thoroughly your nervous system was taught and how seriously it took the lesson. That distinction matters because it changes where the work actually goes. The goal isn't to become someone who doesn't react to threat. The goal is to change what the bedroom signals. Now we need to talk about why this doesn't just fade on its own, why it keeps going, night after night, even when you want it to stop. There's a reason the conditioning doesn't fade on its own. There's a reason the dread doesn't just decrease over time, the way other learned fears sometimes do. The loop has a maintenance system. And most people are running it every night without realizing it. When the dread arrives, at 7 p.m., at 9 p.m., at that moment when the body tightens in the evening shifts, the instinct is to delay. Stay up a little later. Finish one more episode. Fall asleep on the couch instead, where somehow it feels safer. Bring the phone into bed and scroll until the eyes close on their own. These behaviors feel like relief. And in the short term, they create distance between you and the trigger. But your nervous system is watching. And what it observes is, when we approach the bedroom, we retreat, which means the bedroom must really be dangerous. Every avoidance confirms the threat. Every time the couch felt safer than the bed, the bedroom's threat status was reinforced. Every phone in bed delay sent the message, we're not ready to be here yet. Something about this place requires protection. The bedroom learned its lesson from two sources, the actual bad nights, and every retreat from it that followed. This is the loop. The conditioning produces dread. The dread produces avoidance. The avoidance confirms the conditioning. The conditioning deepens. The dread arrives earlier, and at no point in that sequence did you do anything wrong. Every behavior in that loop made complete sense to a nervous system running threat detection. The couch was genuinely more comfortable. The scrolling genuinely lowered the activation enough to sleep. The delay genuinely helped you get through the night. Every time you chose the couch, you weren't being weak. You were doing the only thing that made sense to a nervous system that believed it was keeping you safe. And your bedroom was watching. And learning. That is the whole mechanism, not a character flaw, not anxiety disorder as identity. A nervous system that learned something under conditions that would have taught the same lesson to most nervous systems, and then maintained that lesson through the very behaviors that felt like survival. Your nervous system learned this, which means it learned it from experience. And what experience taught, experience can revise. If what this video just described is your experience, the loop, the early dread, the avoidance that feeds it, there's a workbook in the description below that was built specifically for this, not a list of sleep hygiene rules. A guided process for systematically teaching the bedroom something different, one night at a time, with the conditioning logic built into every step. It's called the Bedtime Dread Workbook, and it's linked below. The video explains the mechanism. The workbook is what the unconditioning actually looks like. So let's talk about what change actually looks like. Not in theory, but starting tonight. Not a protocol. Not a rule to follow every night under threat of losing progress. A direction. The logic of deconditioning is straightforward, even if it's slow. The bedroom learned its association through repeated pairing. Room plus activation. What breaks that association is a different kind of repetition. Room plus neutral. Not room plus perfect sleep. Not room plus forced relaxation. Room plus neutral. The nervous system doesn't need a great experience to begin revising its verdict. It needs an accumulation of experiences that don't confirm the threat. That's what stimulus control is actually pointing at. Not the rules themselves, but the underlying logic. Every time you enter the bedroom and nothing catastrophic happens, the association weakens by a fraction. Every time you leave the bedroom before the activation escalates, rather than lying there fighting it, you interrupt the reinforcement cycle. Every time the bedroom holds something other than a bad night, it absorbs a different lesson. Here's what one low-stakes version of this looks like tonight. Not a sleep attempt, not a meditation. Just spend 2 or 3 minutes in the bedroom doing something genuinely neutral, something you associate with ease. Reading a few pages of something undemanding. Sitting on the edge of the bed with a warm drink, stretching slowly in the space. Then leave. Not because you've given up, because you've just given the bedroom a new data point. That data point doesn't feel significant. It isn't on its own. But the nervous system is still watching. And what it observes over time is, we entered. Nothing threatening happened. We left on our own terms. Deconditioning is not dramatic. It doesn't happen in a single night. It doesn't follow a straight line. There will be nights that feel like regression, and those nights are not proof the process isn't working. They're part of how nervous systems revise deeply held associations, non-linearly, slowly, with repetition. The question is not, can I fix this tonight? The question is, can I give the bedroom one experience tonight that isn't the same as every other night? One neutral minute in the room. One exit before the dread peaks. One small piece of evidence that this place doesn't always mean what it's been taught to mean. That is not a willpower problem. That is not a discipline problem. That is nervous system education. And tonight, one small thing is enough. If you want a structured way to work through the reconditioning process, night by night with the conditioned fear logic built in, the Bedtime Dread Workbook is linked in the description and in the pinned comment below. The video showed you the mechanism. The workbook is the path through it. What time does the dread usually start for you? And when did you first notice it wasn't just about being tired? Here's what's true at the end of this video that wasn't fully true at the beginning. The dread you feel in the evenings is not a sign that something is permanently wrong with you. It's a sign that your nervous system is very good at its job, and that it learned, from real experience, to treat a specific room in your home as a place that requires protection. That learning happened the way all learning happens. Through repetition, through association, through a system that was doing exactly what it was designed to do under conditions that were genuinely hard. The bedroom became a threat cue. The dread started earlier and earlier. The avoidance that followed made the conditioning deeper. None of that was failure. All of it made sense. And a nervous system that learned something through experience can be given new experience. Not all at once, not through effort or discipline or willpower, through repetition of something different. Through small accumulations of neutral that, over time, revise the verdict, the bedroom can be retaught. It learned fear the same way it learns everything, through what happened there over and over. It can learn something else, not tonight necessarily, but from tonight forward. If what happens there begins to include something other than threat, what you've been doing every night, dreading it, delaying it, fighting it, that was never the problem. That was your nervous system doing the only thing it knew how to do when it believed there was something to survive in that room. Tonight, don't try to sleep. Try to give the room 1 minute that isn't fear. There's a difference. And your nervous system will learn it. Not tonight, maybe, but it will learn it.